take king g2. And now black plays queen d3. Okay, so now we exchange a pair of rooks, we exchange some pawns. Okay, let's revisit what we think about this position. So, again, describe to me what's happening in this position. Who do you think is better? What are the pieces doing? Who has better pawns? What's going on here?
Now I think black's a little better.
You think black's a little better. Why is that?
Well, his pieces are kind of active.
It's true. It's true.
Which he can defend the 8th rank.
Okay. Okay, whose king is safer?
Well, there's 2 checks. Both sides can be checked.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, whose king is safer in general?
White's.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you can always just run away.
I agree. So, okay, so let's ask this question. Who would prefer to go into an endgame? White or black?
Black.
By endgame, I mean, let's say a queenless endgame. Who would prefer it, white or black?
I don't know, because white's pawn structure is better than black's.
Okay. I agree. So, do you think white would prefer to play an endgame?
Yeah.
Okay, so the actual answer is black would prefer to play an endgame. Can you tell me why you think black might prefer to play an endgame? There's 2 reasons. And by endgame, I mean queenless endgame. So why do you think black might prefer to play an endgame?
Because he can draw it?
I mean, not so much just even the result, but like what specific factors in this position would encourage black to try to seek a queenless endgame? There's 2.
There's 2?
Yeah, and you kind of already mentioned one of them. Who has a safer king?
White does.
Okay, so who would benefit more from having the queens off?
Black.
Exactly. Okay, that's one major reason. But the other reason is which king is closer to the center?
So I'd say black's.
So which king is more poised for an endgame?
Black's, because he can get his in the center a lot faster.
Right, exactly. So for those 2 reasons, black actually is looking to exchange queens. You're absolutely right about the pawn structure, but oftentimes king position and king safety supersede pawn structure. So in this position, white played queen c5 check, obviously good move, because the king can't move now, and it has to be blocked. And rook d6 loses, because queen d4 is defending and attacking. So black has to block with a queen. So now, let's ask the question, do you think white took the queen here or not?
No.
Right, okay. So now that we've answered that he shouldn't take the queen, where should he go?
Well, if he did take the queen?
No, I'm saying we established now that he didn't take the queen. So where do you think he should move his queen to?
I'd say, well, if he moved it to h5, you attack the h7 pawn.
But then after queen h5,
I really don't see a way he can defend that, but he can always just grab the a2 pawn.
Yeah, exactly. And that h pawn is probably not as important. So
protect the second rank.
Yeah. So queen c3. Yeah, because now we're protecting the second rank. Kind of. We're also looking. We're also looking at this third rank, maybe trying to get to a3, if possible, stuff like that. So, so b5. He's trying to just push his pawn to b4 to help defend it. So rook c6. Oops, sorry. Rook c6, queen d4. And again, you think we trade queens?
No.
No. So okay. So where should we go? There's really only one move. So he's attacking our queen, he's attacking our pawn. So how do we defend both?
Queen. Just queen f3.
But our queen kind of gets stuck there, right? We want to keep our queen active on the queen side. So where can we defend that pawn from?
Queen c2.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Queen c2. So now we're staying on this rook. We're staying on the c-file. We're staying on this pawn. We're also maybe looking this way because black played b4. So basically black doesn't have much choice because his rook and his queen are well placed for defense, but But I mean, he doesn't really want to move anything else. He doesn't want to really move his king away. He doesn't really want to move any of his pawns because it would make him weaker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he basically spent the last few moves pushing his pawn. So now, what should white be doing?
Attacking that pawn.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so what's the best way to do that?
Just rook c4.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so rook c4, queen b6. Now what?
Double attack pawn. Just
Okay, well, but where should the queen go to double attack it? Yeah, you're right. But be careful. Some squares are better than others. Because don't forget, black has some threats too.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best square to double attack the pawn? You're right, but what's the best square?
Well, queen b3.
Okay, be careful. Queen b3, what happens? Queen b3, rook d2, and now how do you defend this guy? Right? Double attack,
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah, true.
So be careful. So where should the queen go instead?
Just b2.
Very good. Very good. Queen b2. So now we're defending against rook d2, keeping our queen on the second rank for defense, but also attacking. So you have to be very careful in these endgames that you make precise moves, because one slight slip-up could mean the difference between, having the initiative and giving black the initiative. So, I mean, queen b3 didn't lose, but it gave black the initiative, because now black's the one who's attacking. So queen b2 keeps the initiative with white's hand, because now white's the one attacking, whereas black's the one who's consistently defending. So only way to defend this pawn, rook b7. And now the first stage is fulfilled, right? Now we've attacked this pawn as much as we can attack it. So now what's the second part? What's the second part? But remember, in endgames, you need to create two weaknesses. Right now, there's one weakness. We really can't add any more fuel to this fire, unfortunately, with the limited material. So what's the second part now?
You really don't want to push any of the pawns, do you? Probably
maybe.
Anything better. So.
Well, what do you propose as a second flank for the attack for white?
Oh, if you push e5, he takes, your queen takes.
And then what's happening to black's king?
It's weakened.
Yep, exactly. So very good. So e5. So really, there's nothing more we can do, with these guys. So we're gonna have to start using these guys. But it doesn't really make sense to push, any of the F, G, or H pawns. But the E pawn can do stuff. So E5, very good. So yeah, so now you don't have to worry about any of the checks on this diagonal, of course, because this queen is now, it's not getting to D5 anytime soon. So he took, and you're right, queen takes, very good. Queen D6. Okay, so did we trade queens?
Here, no.
Nope. Very good. We're still trying to attack. So where does the queen go? Be careful, black does have this idea, right? So we want to make sure we don't allow that.
Yeah, can't you force a pawn push by going to queen to g5?
Yeah, actually queen to g5 forces king d7, because if f6 we just win a rook, right? So he can't block, he has to play king d7. Okay, now what?
Yeah.
Now how do we continue the attack?
You can just take your queen down, can't you?
To what square?
It's either I see f4 or g4.
Our queen to f4?
Well,
then
g4.
He can just trade queens, right?
Yeah, our queen to g4.
Okay, but then what is that threatening?
The queen pin on the king.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, but he can run his king again.
Yeah.
Or he can play rook b5 to d5. So there's something that's more accurate, actually. What did he weaken now that he moves his king to d7?
That diagonal.
Right, but what is no longer defended?
The pawn.
So how can we attack it again?
So rook f4.
Exactly. Now rook f4. Now we're threatening to win this pawn. So there's no time for queen d5 check. We just take take the pawn, take the rook, and win the pawn ending.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to defend that pawn, so he plays f5. Okay, so now his king is even more barren than it was before. Okay, so what's the strongest move here? You have the right idea again, but now we can do it in a better way.
Would the strongest move be? No, you can block that. Never mind. I
Well,
was
I
like,
mean, you're going to use some ideas of what you said before, but also attacking pawn on h7. So
yeah, this queen h4.
yeah, so that's actually a good move, but slightly more accurate is queen f6. It has the same idea though. Queen h4 looks good, but the problem with queen h4 is that you can actually play king c6 and then defend it this way. It looks awkward, but this king is actually relatively safe. And this queen doesn't have as much mobility on h4 as it does on f6. So
Yeah.
after queen f6, now if king c6, now rook d4 is quite strong, because now this queen has to keep defense of this pawn, so he probably has to play this, and then black has to play this pawn down ending. So queen f6 would have been the strongest, because again, we are threatening rook d4, and we're also threatening stuff like queen g7, like you said, and taking h7. But white actually played king h3 here in order to avoid checks. So now the king is actually completely immune from checks, but queen f6 right away would have been stronger. So king c6, black's trying to get the heck out of there. And now white plays queen g8, trying to attack from the rear. So there's no actual threats here, but it's just looking very menacing. So the king says, let me get out of there even more, give a check, and a block. And again, we don't want to trade queens under any circumstances. Black saying, let's trade queens. White saying, nope. Black saying, okay, I'll attack your queen. And now, finally, queen e5, king a6. Okay, so what do you like here? So we basically chase the king from e7 all the way to a6. And now, this pawn is weak. Our pieces are definitely more active, right? This queen is
Mm-hmm.
more active than this queen. This rook is more active than this rook. They're just stuck defending. So now, how does white continue?
Huh.
There's actually a couple of good moves. There's actually a force win and then a very good move. So a couple of very good moves, but what do you like here?
Hmm. Would that one will be check happy, but man, is queen e2 bad?
Well, your queen is much better posted on e5 than it would be on e2, right?
Yeah.
So be careful of being check happy and you know not improving the position of your pieces, because basically your queen and rook are almost in their optimal positions. Like that queen is really looking, it's really making a nice star looking at all positions. It's looking this way, 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 it's looking this way. I mean, it's really doing a great job. On e2, it's not doing so much. So queen e5, it's pretty much the optimal place for the queen. But is there a way we can maybe get our rook into the game?
Yeah, you can rook d4.
Yeah, rook d4 is good. Rook d4 is good. In the game, white actually chose rook c4. It's basically the same idea. But actually, the best move here that later analysis showed was a3. So the point of a3 is now this rook wants to come this way. So you can't take. And basically it rids white of his only weakness, which is this pawn. And this basically leads to a force win. So a3 is really the star move. But it's kind of tough to see because, who thinks about pushing the pawn when you got all these queens and rooks and stuff. So if pawn takes pawn, you just get mated. Rook a4, king b6, queen a5, king c6, rook c4, and this is mating a move or so. If king d6, then just probably just queen a6 check wins the rook, or mates. So if this thing, something, there's some mate here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. So king here. So if queen here, there's check. Oh yeah. Okay, so check, I guess, and then check here. Or oh yeah, maybe that's it. And then like f4, and then
Hmm.
the king